this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome back to Popcorn Finance. This is the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. As you know, I've been celebrating America Saves Week all week long, and today is going to be no different. Today is day 3 of America Saves Week, and they've set a theme for each day of the week. Today's theme is Save for the Unexpected. And this is so important because one emergency expense can really derail your whole budget. And the thing about emergencies is you don't normally see them coming. And that's why it's so important just to be prepared in the event that anything could pop up. And today, to help me talk about saving for the unexpected, I've asked Bethany Bayless to share a little bit of her story. You may know Bethany from her previous appearances on the show, like the time that she debated me on whether reusing paper towels is cheap or frugal.
This is a cheap concept. If you're going to buy paper towels, the entire idea is that they are disposable, which means that you have less laundry to do for your house. If you buy paper towels for the cheap price of $3.99 or whatever per roll, and you reuse those paper towels, it is cheap. You can handle in your budget $4.
Still one of my all-time favorite episodes. Or you may recognize her as the co-host of the Money Millhouse podcast. Great podcast, by the way, if you haven't checked it out. Bethany knows all about why saving for the unexpected is so important. And so that's why she's popped by to share a little bit of her story.
Hey, Popcorn Finance listeners, this is Bethany Bayless, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about saving money for unexpected circumstances. So an emergency fund is extremely important. I know from firsthand experience how useful and vital it is when it comes to saving for those emergencies. About 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with a small tumor, which is benign, on my pituitary gland in the back of my head, and those medical bills started to pile up really quickly, and it got to the point where we had about $2,000 in medical bills that we had to pay, and I felt so guilty at the fact of, oh my goodness, these things are happening to me, it's my fault. But in actuality, it took me a second to take a step back and realize that this is exactly what our emergency fund is for unexpected circumstances, and you have to put that money away, because if these had hit and we weren't ready, that would have been devastating to our finances. And so putting away money for an emergency fund, you can do that by putting aside $20, $50 a month. I use an app called Albert. It automatically takes that from my bank account, puts it into a rainy day account that I can transfer into my account at any time. You can also open up just an emergency fund itself. Set aside a bank account that is for your emergency fund. Put money into that every single month, work those up. It's best to have about 6 to 12 months of monthly expenses in that emergency account, and just save up for it 1 month at a time. And that'll come so helpful, and it'll be so much healthier for your finances when those unexpected times occur.
Thanks, Bethany, for sharing your story. I really appreciate you being so open. And, I really can relate to Bethany's story because I've been there. I've had medical bills that have completely derailed my budget, especially when we were paying off debt. I've had times where I was trying so hard to pay off debt, a medical bill pops in and it just forces me to go back into debt because I didn't have any money saved. And I was really just pushing everything I could to just pay off the debt that we had. And so when these emergencies would pop up, it was just a huge weight on my shoulders, and it would just cause so much more anxiety. And so that's why now I'm such a big proponent of having an emergency fund. So if you haven't already done so, please make setting up an emergency fund a priority. Even if you have to start small, you don't have to start off day one with 6 months worth of your expenses. Even setting aside $100 right now will be huge, because that's $100 of an emergency expense that you don't have to worry about. So that's what I want to encourage you to do here on day 3 of America Saves Week, is to just get started. Put aside something towards an emergency fund, so that way when these expenses come up, it, 1, doesn't push you deeper into debt if you're already dealing with that, and 2, it will limit the amount of anxiety that you deal with when these expenses come up, because trust me, they will occur. Emergencies will happen, but being prepared and saving for the unexpected is the best thing you can do to help yourself out when these situations do pop up. So I appreciate you all joining me here for another episode, and if you're listening to this episode when it released on Wednesday morning, February 27th, then I want to invite you to join me and Bethany later on today at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time or 3:30 Eastern for an Instagram live that we're going to do, talking more about this topic of saving for the unexpected. And if you're wondering, yes, I will probably be filming this from the backseat of my car again. So, if anything, you want to be there just to see that. And if you can't make it Wednesday afternoon to the Instagram Live that I'm doing with Bethany, I'll be doing a couple more this week as well for America Saves Week. On Thursday, I'll be joined by Julian, one half of Rich and Regular. We'll be talking about saving for retirement. And on Friday, I'll be joined by Allison Baggerly from Inspired Budget, and we'll be discussing saving the extra. So when that little bit of money comes in that you weren't expecting, what are some tips and techniques on how to save that money and put it aside for a rainy day? So hopefully I'll catch you this afternoon, or maybe at one of the other Instagram Lives that I'll be doing over at Popcorn Finance Podcast on Instagram. But if not, I appreciate you joining me here for this midweek bag of popcorn. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.